and start
thank you for the introduction, Professor. Today I try to inform you about the LADM Part 4 Evaluation Information Model. So in this lecture, I will try to tell you what is property evaluation and why it is important. In the context of land administration, which information covered by the land valuation, for example, transaction prices, sales statistics also covered by the land information part of the land administration. And I also try to explain the concepts in valuation information. For example, what are the input and output data used in valuation processes? What are the valuation units and valuation unit groups? Which valuation approaches can be used in valuation processes? What is mass valuation? And how can we define transaction prices and sales statistics? So there are some main sources that I use for preparing these slides below. So in this lecture, I create 5 different topics, 5 different, I will try to explain the valuation information in 5 different header. In the first header, I try to explain what is land administration and specifically which valuation information, what we are trying to say that in the context of land administration, when we say the valuation is a part of land administration, as a component of land administration, what we are saying that, what is the definition of valuation component of valuation information. In the second part of the presentation, I will try to explain example use cases that can be used, that was used to create LADM valuation information model. In the third section, I will try to explain how we developed, how it is developed, how valuation information model is developed. And after the development of valuation information model, several countries developed some country profile for various reasons. So I will try to show the country profiles developed using the valuation information model. And end of this presentation, I will try to explain the 3D aspects in property valuation. So 3D information is really important in valuation activities. It can be used different. It can be used for different purposes. For example, deriving some 3D data or supporting mathematical valuation models to better estimate the property value. So I will try to explain how 3D data can be used in property valuation processes in the last part of the presentation. So I think that you already saw this diagram in this lecture. So as you know, the valuation land administration is about the ownership value and the land use. So when we look, if you look at this diagram of NMARC, you can see the land value is about the assessment of land value and collection of property taxes. So NMARC strict about this this issue. The land value component of land administration is only interested in the assessment of land values. So this assessment can be done for taxation purposes, only taxation purposes, and collection of property taxes. I'm emphasizing this because the land administration domain model part for the valuation information, its content a bit larger than the NMARC. So NMARC, when we NMARC define the land value component of land administration as the land value component is interested only assessment of land value and collection of property taxes. So as you know, in the first edition of land administration domain model is published in 2012, but it focused more on the ownership component of land administration, so land registration and cadastral component of land administration, but the land value and land use components are not detailedly modeled in the first edition of land administration domain model. But every ISO standard is subject to systematic review. So in 2017, the systematic review of LADM was decided. And in the 48th plenary meeting week of ISO TC211, it was decided to design LADM edition 2 as for 6 parts. So the part 4 is the valuation information. So what is valuation? It is a simple definition. It is actually estimating the value of immovable properties. So we are only interested in immovable properties, so land, apartments, maybe utilities. In some cases, buildings can be subject to evaluation in the context of land administration. Of course, there are some other things can be valued. Sorry, for example, art pieces can be valued, or jewelries can be valued, or paintings can be valued. But this is out of context for the land administration. In the land administration, we only focus on the immovable properties. So in valuation can be conducted by private sector or the public sector. It can be used several purposes. For example, taxation, large scale land acquisition, spatial planning, expropriation, land readjustment, and there's more use cases for valuation. But some of these purposes, some of these type of valuations can be done by private sector. For example, if someone interested in a large-scale land acquisition, a private company, the valuation of this large-scale land acquisition can be done by a private sector, but some of them are done by public sector. For example, real estate taxation, for example, spatial planning, for example, expropriation. The purpose of if the purpose is the expropriation, then the public sector is more often involved in the valuation activities. The valuation processes can be conducted by the public sectors. So when we look at the international guiding documents, it is, for example, New Urban Agenda and Sustainable Development Goals. It was clearly indicated that basic land inventories, such as valuation inventories, setting up evaluation inventory is supported by the government. Local governments should be supported for creating a local land inventory information systems. And New Urban Agenda also stated that land and housing price records should be recorded to assess changes in land values. So after the LADM edition 1 was published in 2012, other standards are checked whether this information management aspects of valuation information can be. Is there any standard for setting up new databases or setting up new information management systems? Is there any standard for that? It is searched after in 2025, and in that date we could not find any information management model or a standard for managing valuation information. Although there are many standards for the valuation activities, there are no standards for the information management aspects of land information, evaluation information. So we decided to search more on this issue. So first, we try to search the international valuation standards. So there are many international valuation standards, but they are mostly focused on the how valuation reports can be prepared, what ethics the valuers should, what ethical issues should be addressed by the valuers. What are the definition of the different terms? For example, what is market value? What is highest and best used value? So these valuation standards only focused on these aspects, not the information management aspects. So it was decided it may be a good approach to extend the first edition of LADM edition 1 with valuation information. So problem here is so clear. There is no international information model that can be used to define semantics of property valuation registries and to set up a new information management systems. Yes, scope of this work is a bit larger than the NMARC. So this model interested in all administrative valuations, not only for taxation, but also valuation conducted for expropriation, valuation conducted for example, spatial planning, also included in this model. So selected methodology is to collect some information from the international valuation standards, collect some information from the country practices, check the other information standards, not only LADM, but also other information standards can be used to express the valuation processes. So we should select the best information standards. So the geographical information models should also be searched. And the main contribution of such a work is considered that countries may use such an information model for developing and improving valuation information management systems or some applications. So this is basically the where valuation stands in the concept of land administration. In the second part of this presentation, I will try to give some example use cases. I will try to show you some example use cases. So these use cases consist of four parts. So in the first part, I will try to show a few example to you for purpose of valuation and transaction prices. So in the first example, the purpose is taxation. You can see the orange color spatial units are taxable properties, and the blue color are not taxable properties. The blue colored properties may be some government buildings, or maybe some police stations, or maybe some properties of religious organization. I'm not sure. These are defined by the regulations of countries. Some properties are exempted from the property taxation. So in this example, the blue-colored spatial units are exempted from the property tax, so that their values, their property values, are not calculated annually. So this is how it looks in UML terms. So in basic administrative unit 1 is associated with the spatial unit 1. So for the basic administrative unit 1 is associated also with the valuation unit 1. Maybe I can show it. Yeah, here there's a relation with basic administrative unit and valuation unit 1. And this valuation unit have a value, the value 1, and have a tax value, the tax 1. This is similar for the basic administrative unit 2. Have the value 1 and the tax value 2. But when we come to the basic administrative unit 5, there is no valuation conducted by the local governments to determine their property value, because it is exempted from the tax. So the owner of basic administrative unit 5 did not pay any tax to the local government. Yep. Yeah. In second example, the Monique owns the special unit 1, have the ownership of special unit 1, and she wants to yeah. How much tax should Monique pay to the local government? So we should learn what is how much the value of the basic administrative unit 1. So it was calculated in 2023 by the local government as 200,000 euros. In that area, the property tax amount is 0.2% of the value of the property. So the the tax amount of the money has to pay to the local government is calculated as 400 euros. So this can also be how this can be expressed by the UML model. You can see the left-hand side. The Monique property have the value 1 and the tax value 1. And the left-hand side, we can see the how it can be recorded in a database related to valuation. In second example, I would like to show is about the transaction. So Monique have the ownership of special unit 1, and she would like to sell it to Lionel. Yeah, I just discovered that I used the wrong name in the presentation. Carlos, it's written in Carlos in the UML part. I will change that. So Monique would like to sell it to Lionel, the special unit 01 or basic administrative unit number 1. So this is how it looks in the UML on the left-hand side. The ownership passed Monique to Lionel, and it is recorded in the valuation database, both value of the basic administrative unit 1 or the valuation unit 1, and the transaction price is also recorded. So you can see in the below of the screen, can maybe again color. Yeah, here is the value of the property. So it was calculated for the taxation purposes, and taxation done is 1 January 2023, and the transaction occurs in the 15 March 2023. But there are some differences, as you can see. The transaction price is different than the value of the property. So this may be because of the dates are different. The valuation date and the transaction date is different. And that's maybe different because of the valuation is not so accurate. So we cannot know that, but we can say that the values of this valuation unit is different. The value is different and the transaction price is different. So this is what I just say. The transaction was occurred in March, and the value and the transaction price is different. So the third example, I would like to show you the expropriation. So Elizabeth and Thomas have the ownership of special unit 2, 8, and 10. 2, 8, and 10, and this special unit 2, 8, and 10 creates the basic administrative unit 2. In some cases, valuation unit can be valuation is same with the basic administrative unit. But in some cases, valuation unit can be the spatial units. So in this case, each spatial units creates a valuation unit. So you can for the spatial units number 2, it is equal to valuation unit number 2. Spatial unit number 8 equal to valuation unit number 8, and spatial unit number 10 equal to valuation unit number 10. So in this case, government wants to expropriate the spatial unit number 8 to build a new police station. So we should calculate the value of valuation unit number 8. So the value of the spatial unit number 8 is calculated 500,000 euros. So government has to pay 250 to so government has to pay 250,000 both Elizabeth and Thomas. So how it is recorded in the database? So there's a valuation unit number 8, and this time the purpose of valuation is different than taxation. You can see the purpose of valuation is this time is expropriation. We are recording this purpose because sometimes the purpose of valuation is very important to use that value for the other valuation processes. For example, if it's expropriation, so you can say that it's done by local or private companies, and it can be used for the other types of valuation because it is the value of this property on 1 January 2024 is the 500,000 euros. So when you try to calculate the values of other properties, you can use that value as a comparable. But in some countries, the values calculated for the taxation cannot be used for the as comparables for the other valuations because the taxation price is really different from the market prices. So in this case, we can think that the expropriation price is equal to the market price. So the next example I would like to show about the units of objects of valuation. So similar to the previous example, in this example also the spatial units is same with the valuation units. So each spatial units can create each spatial units or a combination of these spatial units can create a valuation unit. So in this example, this BA unit, you can the spatial unit 12-4 is an apartment. Spatial unit 12-5 is a car parking area, and spatial unit 12-6 is for example, a storage place. So in some countries, the car parking areas has a different value than the apartments. So in this case, we have such an UML diagram. So the value of basic administrative unit 12 is equal to value of 18-4 and 18-5. So here you can see that the spatial units 12.5, 12.4, and 12.6, the apartment and the storage place creates a one valuation unit, which has a one value, and the car parking area has a different value than that. If you want to calculate the total value of basic administrative unit 12, so you could collect the value 12-4 and value 12-4.
Abdullah, I think there's still a little error in the total value of BA unit 12. It's not 18.4 and 18.5, but it's 12.4 and 12.5, right?
Yeah, it's written. Yeah, again, my fault, professor. Yeah, it should be 12-4 and 12-5. Yeah, here. So this is how it is recorded in the database. So in this example, Peter owned the special unit 13, and he sell it to a housing association, and housing association renovate the building and design it as a social house, as designed as a housing company, designed as an apartment complex, sorry. So in this case, we can clearly see that the cadastral registration units can be different than the valuation units. So in this example, the housing association owned the ownership of BA Unit 13. This BA Unit 13 is associated with the Special Unit 13. This is the cadastral registry site. And we look at the valuation registry site. This Special Unit 13 is associated with 3 different valuation units. This means the 3 different rental units. So the rental units are not recorded in the cadastral registry, but it should be registered in the valuation registry. So in this case, the cadastral registration units, which is the parcels or special units or basic administrative units, but in the valuation registry, this is different. The one special units is associated with 3 different rental units in this case. So this is how it looks in the database. One special units, valuation special units 13 is associated with 3 valuation units, which are the rental units, and each rental unit has a different value, and each rental unit should pay a tax, real estate tax, to a local government annually. So the third one, I would like to show some example about the valuation methods. So there are different valuation methods can be used to determine the property values. Mostly known are the sales comparison approach, cost approach, and income approach. This approach can be selected considering the data sets you have and the property to be valued. In some type of properties, we cannot use all the approaches, so we can select only one approach. So the selection process depends on the data sets and the property. So in this first example, I would like to show an example about the sales comparison approach. So in this example, Vim wants to be valued his property using sales comparison approach. So he has the BA unit 14, which is equal to valuation unit 14, and the valuation unit 14 has a again draw valuation unit 14. We are trying to calculate the value 18, and value 18 is calculated using the sales comparison approach. So in the sales comparison approach, we should select some comparables. So in this case, 3 comparables are selected. One is the valuation unit 15, one is the valuation unit 16, and one is the valuation unit 17. So for the valuation unit 15, we have only one transaction price. For the valuation unit 16, we have 2 different transaction prices. And valuation unit 18, we have only one transaction price. So we will use this 3 and 4 different transaction prices to estimate the value of valuation unit 14 and to calculate the value of 18. So I will try to show you more clear examples with mathematical equations. Yeah, for example, in this example, you can see 2 different properties, sale A and sale B. All the characteristics of sale A and sale B is equal, except for the location in this example. So how valuation works? The valuers try to find most suitable comparable for the valuation processes. So in this case, the valuer find a very good comparable. So their all characteristics are same except for the location and the selling price. So the valuer can say that the difference between the $50 difference between the sale A and sale B is because the location. The location difference creates this difference. So this is a really famous saying in valuation sector. The location is everything. So I would like to show you a short video saying that location is very important. I took this video from one of the TV series called House of Cards. This is the opening scene of House of Cards. And the American president gave his inauguration talk. He's just selected for the presentation. And we have one very ambitious man, want to be president. So I will show you his speech, a very short speech. I hope you can hear. Start it.
Exit the office. Power is a lot like real estate. It's all about location, location, location. Closer you are to the source, higher your property value. Centuries from now, when people watch this footage.
Yeah, this is all. So the location is very important. In this video, he says when you closer to the source, the higher your property value. So you can think that when your property is close to the city center or a location with a nice view, then your property value is higher than the other properties. So I would like to show another example with this sales comparison approach. On the left-hand side, you can see the property. So the valuer wants to calculate the value of this property using sales comparison approach. And there are three different comparables. Comparables are selected for this example. So when you selected the comparables, it's better if the valuer select the comparables that is sold recently. So all the comparables are sold recently here. So one is sold 2 months ago, one is sold 3 months ago, and one month. And the comparables should be at similar location. And the characteristics of the comparables should be similar with the property that wants to be valued. So in this case, the property is subject property for the valuation has 2 bedrooms. Maybe I can again draw that 2 bedrooms, but the comparable one also has 2 bedrooms. The size of the subject property is 75 square meter, but the comparable one is 70. So how can we adjust this difference? So their size is different. So how can we adjust that? So I will show you in the next slide. Here. So there are some adjustments in the comparable one. As you can see, their size is different, 5 square meter. So 3,500,000 euros are added to the value of comparable one because we try to calculate the subject property, and subject property is 5 square meter is 5 square meter higher than this comparable one. So we try to equalize the comparable one with the subject property. In this case, 3,500 euros are added because of the 5 square meter difference. So all the other characteristics are checked and adjusted. So you can ask that where this 35,000 euros comes from. So this comes from the experience. This may be the experience of the valuers. So valuer can check the properties, the similar properties in that area, in that location, and calculate that the 5 square meter difference can cause 35,000 euro difference also. So this can come from the experience of the valuer, or you can conduct some statistical analysis to calculate these adjustments. So at the end, you can valuer calculate an adjusted price for the comparable one, and adjusted price for the comparable 2 and adjusted price for the comparable 3. So this adjusted price means that if our subject property has the similar characteristics with the comparable one, what should be the comparable one value? So it is calculated as this, and comparable one is 2, and comparable 3 is this one. And at the end, the valuer gives some weights to each comparable. So valuer think that the comparable one is much similar with the subject property, and the comparable 2 is 10% similar, and the comparable 3 is 20% similar with the subject property. So give some weights to the comparables and calculate the final value of the subject property. If we have more time, I have a few more slides for the second section, Professor. Do we have 5 more minutes?
Yeah, I think we have still 4 more minutes to the break.
Okay, this is how it looks in the database. The comparable.
Abdullah, you stopped sharing the screen.
Oh, sorry.
And by the way, all students, nice to have your video camera open. So thanks for those who have it, and maybe others, if you are in a good situation, also have the camera open.
Can you see now, Professor, my screen?
No. Not sure about the others, but
I can see the slide, I think.
We can see the slides.
okay, that's weird. Then it's at my side. I only see the video. Weird. So please, Abdullah, go on. I know the slides.
Okay, this is how it looks, the sales comparison approach in evaluation databases. So the sales comparison, comparables, evaluation in 15, 16, and 17 is associated with the sales comparison table. And based on this sales comparison approach, the value of the valuation unit 18 is calculated as 2,802. The value of 18 is calculated as on the 2025 here. And you can see that also the valuation unit is the value of the properties associated with the valuation unit 14 here. So the next example I want to show you is about the other approach, a cost approach. So again, the Wim wants to calculate his Wim wants to evaluate his property with cost approach. So there are different methodologies can be used in cost approach, but in this case, the reproduction cost is used. So I would like to show you a simple example.
Abdullah, I think good to say what you put on the slide. The reason why he is now using the cost approach is because it's a different type of unit for which there are not so many comparables.
Yes, yes,
Yes, a
actually, yeah,
unique
yeah.
industrial unit.
Yeah.
Which you cannot compare to other valuation units.
Yes, this cost approach is used when you do not have many comparables, and it can be used if you do not have the comparables transaction values, the market values of comparables are not available. So these examples show how the cost approach is used. On the left-hand side, you can see the subject property for the cost approach. The cost approach consists of many steps, but the first steps, you should calculate the land, the value of land. So in this case, the value of land is also calculated with the sales comparison approach, because the cost approach cannot be used to the value of land, because you cannot calculate any cost for creating new land. That is why you should use the sales comparison approach in determining the land value of this property. So 3 different land comparables selected, and firstly, the land value is calculated. In the second step, the reproduction cost of the building is calculated. So this reproduction cost consists of many stages. In the first stage, the base building costs are calculated. This cost, how if one can build a main living area with 180 square meter, what is the total cost of constructing such a building? What is the cost of constructing finished basement and garage? They are all calculated using the cost approach. So you can ask that where is the cost per square meter comes from. Generally, this cost published by the governments, local governments, or the organizations, special organization can publish these costs. So constructing a luxury 2 floors single family residence can be calculated based on those prices calculated by the local governments or the private organizations. So in this step, we calculated the value of the main building, but it is not the end. We should also calculate the other parts. For example, the additional building components should be calculated. The fireplace, central heating system, kitchen, bathroom, also calculated. The cost of these components should also be calculated. And lastly, some indirect costs, for example, the architectural and engineering drawings, engineering works, the permits and fees that should be paid to the local governments, and the builders' overhead and profits, and the contingency should also be included in the reproduction costs. So we are calculating how much money we need for reproducing such a building for the subject property. So the total reproduction cost is calculated in this case as total of the land value, this is the indirect costs here, the additional building components, and the main building cost. So the total reproduction cost of such a building is calculated as here, the total of all the steps. So this is how it looks in the database. The valuation unit 14 is calculated with the cost approach, and using the cost approach, the value 19 is calculated as 262,000 euros. And the last example I would like to show about the mass valuation. This is a very short example. So mass valuation, what mass valuation means? the mass valuation can be used to value group of properties together in one time. So group of valuation units. So we should group the valuation units. These valuation units should be similar types. So you can collect the residential units as a one valuation unit. So in this case, the valuation units form a valuation unit group, and this valuation, the value of this valuation unit group is calculated with the mass valuation, and for each valuation unit, a value is calculated using the mass valuation approach. So this approach is used to mass calculation of all values in an area. This is a good approach. This is a really well approach, and cost is really low in this approach. And this is also considered a equitable approach for the owners of the properties. So I would like to show you a very simple example here. When you want to mass value a group of valuation units, you can see some example properties here. Different analysis methods can be used. In this example, I will try to show you the multiple regression analysis. You can use different analysis to calculate the property values with mass valuation. For example, artificial neural networks can be used. Adaptive estimation procedures can be used to new GEO AI algorithms can be used to calculate the values of properties with mass valuation. But the mostly used approach is the multiple regression analysis. In the multiple regression analysis, you can use such a formula here. The value of property can be calculated by summing up all the characteristics of properties. And in the second phase of this multiple regression analysis, you should calculate the different coefficients for the size, bedrooms, age, and condition score and energy scores of this formula. You should calculate the beta values, the coefficients for each characteristics of this formula, of this properties. So after that, after you run the formula, you are creating a formula to calculate all the property values using mass valuation approach. After that, you can validate and quality control of your estimations. You can use different approaches here. For example, coefficient of dispersion and coefficient of variance can be used to check what percentage of accuracy you achieved in this multiple regression analysis. In the second hour, I will show more detailing this mass appraisal part of the valuation information model, but for now, this is all. So based on these use cases, we will try to develop an information model for managing the valuation information in the land administration context.
Maybe Abdullah, this is a really good moment for a break.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Actually,
There was one.
Okay,
This was just a indeed break moment. There was a question by Anna, and I can read it. I'm not sure if you can read it. So, if a property is valued using the cost method, can that then later be used in a comparison method for another nearby property?
Yes,
Yeah?
exactly. It can be used. So you can, if you calculate and record that value to a database and record the valuation date and record the purpose of valuation. So the valuation conducted later, the valuation to be conducted later, the values can be used that value for the sales comparison approach or even income approach. It can be used in any approaches because you calculate the value, you record it in a database. So this is very clear which purpose, which is the purpose of what is the purpose of valuation. and it is expected from the experienced valuers that the values recorded in the databases should be used to increase the accuracy of all processes.
Very good. And thanks, Anna, for asking the question. Let me ask a question to the students. How is the value called in the Netherlands for the residential units? Any clue? Sharon should not answer because she should know. But anyone else? I think the Dutch students should know.
Yes, we have one correct answer in the chat.
And good. Walter answered it. Very good. So it's the WAS value. WAS stands for Wet onroerende zaken, law on the immovable properties. And later also, Abdullah will tell you a little bit more about the Dutch situation, but it's called the WAS. So this strange thing, the WAS, and we see now a lot of advertisements on the national television that you can complain about your WAS value. Because if it's too high, you pay too much tax, and there are then companies helping you. And there's one advertisement that comes to my mind all the time. That is Knibbel, Knabbel, Knuisje. Wie knabbelt er aan een huisje? Which is a Dutch fairy tale about a witch that is eating up a home, which is made of kind of candy. And the witch is the tax office. That is. Okay, let's have a break, get a coffee, and let's start again a 9:45. So a relatively short break. See you later after the break. everybody, and yeah, really nice to have your camera on, so Abdullah can see to who he's talking. He is quite far away, but nice if I can see who is in the room, in the virtual room. Very good, all, yeah. So, well, Abdullah is starting. I hope the last one can also switch on their cameras. And Abdullah, please go on with the second part.
Thank you. In this part of this lecture, I will try to explain how the LADM Part 4, the evaluation information, is developed, which methodology is used to develop the LADM Part 4. So this is the identified methodology when developing the Part 4. Firstly, and the terms, concepts related to the evaluation domain is determined. For this purpose, the international evaluation standards are checked, analyzed. In the second stage, the country applications are identified using questionnaire-based research. And the third stage, the evaluation of the existing information standards are evaluated. The existing geographical information standards are investigated to find out which information standard is more suitable to be extended with the evaluation information. And the fourth stage is about developing the information model for the evaluation. So for the first stage, the international evaluation standards are investigated. The terms related to evaluation are organized, and a thesaurus is created based on this investigation. So there are 5 different categories for the property evaluation are identified for main categories: the value, the evaluation record, evaluation activity, and evaluation objects. The term related to these basic concepts are identified, and also the relationship between these concepts are identified, and a thesaurus is created based on the international evaluation standards. For example, the international evaluation, the standards published by the International Evaluation Standard Council, the TEGOA, which is a evaluation standards published by the European Valuation Council, and the IAAO, the International Association of Assessing Officers. So the terms are extracted from the standards from those organizations and organized within a thesaurus. So in the second stage, a questionnaire is a questionnaire-based datasets has been obtained from the FIG Commission 7, which is related to the land administration, and FIG Commission 9, which is the commission interested in evaluation practices. The commonalities and differences between different countries are collected via this questionnaire. So for this questionnaire, we received 24 responses from 22 countries. So you can access all the questionnaire on that website. We also investigate, make a literature analysis to identify the commonalities and differences between the evaluation practices in different countries. So we support this questionnaire with a literature review. And at the end, we determined the commonly used property characteristics in evaluation processes in all countries. So for the land, the parcel area, topography, land use, restrictions over the land are important characteristics. So for the improvements, building parts, residential units, the living area, age, effective age, construction materials, construction types, quality, available utilities such as electricity, water, internet, connection are very important, and other building features such as pool, air conditioning, fireplace are very important, and also the energy efficiency of the buildings are very important characteristics used in the evaluation processes, and also the locational characteristics, which are quality of neighborhoods, closeness to the point of interest, such as the city center, for example, the seaside. You can think all of the point of interest in this closeness to point of interest part of the location characteristics, and the wave also an important characteristics for the evaluation processes. So after that, we try to check the information standards. So best standard is LADM, because LADM is designed for the land administration purposes, but the first edition of LADM did not give a detailed information model for the evaluation, but it includes the detailed information about the rights, restriction, responsibilities. So in the evaluation activities, we actually value the rights attached to land. So the rights and restrictions over the land is really important thing in evaluation processes. We also check the other information standards. For example, we check the OGC's land infra standards. OGC land infra standards also includes some definitions, some modeling for the property units, land parcel, and condominiums, but it is not very detailed as LADM standard, ISO LADM standard. But we used OGC some part of OGC land infra standard when developing the LADM part 4. And we also check the INSPIRE information standards. For example, we check the INSPIRE building data specification. We check the INSPIRE cadastral parcel data specification to find out which properties we can use from these standards. So at the end of this investigations, we decided that the LADM is the most suitable standards for expressing the evaluation information, the value component of the land administration. And it is decided to extend evaluation. It is decided to extend land administration domain model with evaluation information, but also the other information standards are used when determining the characteristics of the properties. For example, INSPIRE building data specification is used when developing the LADM part 4 to model the building quality elements, building construction elements, the code list values, the code list values of buildings are taken directly from the INSPIRE building data specification. So this is the LADM part 4. It consists of 10 main classes. The evaluation class, which defines the input and output data used and produced in the evaluation processes. The mass appraisal is used to mass appraisal related information. So I will give more detailed information later slides. The evaluation unit represents the basic recording unit of evaluation processes. Evaluation unit is used to cluster evaluation units according to their zones or the use types, so residential or retail or other purposes. Spatial unit specifies the subparcels, or in some cases we need some more subparcels. For example, in the example in the first hour of the lecture, we saw that the car parking area in some cases can be a valuation unit. So to represent the car parking area, we have this VM spatial unit to represent the subparcels. And building and condominium classes specifies the physical aspects, the characteristics of buildings. For example, area of the building, area of the residential units, area of the apartments, the age of the building, the physical aspects of the building and building parts that is important in the valuation processes are detailed, specified in this building and condominium unit classes. Transaction prices are the indispensable part of the valuation information part of the land administration, because we are the valuers are conducted valuation based on the transaction prices. So the transaction prices should be recorded in a valuation registry. Based on the transaction prices or the valuation results, sales statistics are calculated. So you may see that the house price indices, the residential house price indices, regularly published by the government agencies. So you can record those kind of information in the sales statistics part of the model. Valuation sources represents the sources used in the valuation processes. For example, this can be a valuation report. This can be a declaration document that includes the transaction price. This can be a aerial photo or a photograph that shows the condition of property, and so on. So I will try to explain each class more detailedly. So the valuation unit represents the basic recording units of the valuation. So in our case, this can be a land, this can be a building, this can be a land and building together. So the valuation can differ. Valuation can differ from the legislation of country. So each country have its own legislation, and the valuation units are calculated. The valuation units are determined in that legislations. So this may depends country's legislation, but in most cases, it can be a land, or it can be a condominium unit, or it can be a building. So these valuation units, in some cases, equal to the cadastral registration unit. In some cases, it is not equal. So that is why a valuation unit needed. Not all the cases. This cadastral basic registration of cadastral units and the basic recording units of valuation units can differ. So this is why we need the valuation units in the part 4. The valuation unit groups is used for generally for the group the same kind of valuation units. So this class is created for the supporting mass appraisal of the properties. So you can cluster the valuations according to their zones or the use type. So you can group residential units, you can group commercial units, you can group industrial units. And this class is used to support the mass appraisal processes. The next class is the spatial unit, VM spatial unit. This class is created for representing the valuation parcels and sub-parcels. Sub-parcel example can be a car parking area or a place that is not recorded in the cadastral database, but it can be a valuation unit in some cases. So the next class I want to show is the building class. It includes the physical characteristics that is important in the valuation processes. So as you can see, the date of construction, the construction quality, the facade material used when constructing the building, the heating source of the building, the energy performance value of the building is important for the valuation processes. So all these type of characteristics are included in this class. But we are also use the other information, other international standards. For example, you can see the building volume and the building area type comes from the ISO 9836 standards. So in that standards, the how total floor area, how net floor area can be calculated is detailedly given in that ISO standards. So we directly use the terms from that standards to represent the building area types. And for representing the building material type, building facade material type, the heating system type, and the heating system source type, we use the code list from the Inspire data specification and the STGML building data team. So we directly took their code list values to develop this LADM part 4, all because we include these types of information because they are all imported. They can be an important part of valuation. They can affect the property value. So the next class is the condominium unit. So in some countries, this is called residential unit. So in this condominium unit, the number of room, the accessory part type. The accessory part type can be a garage, can be a shop, can be a laundry, which is attached to the main condominium unit. So the number of floor which the condominium unit is located is also an important part of the important characteristics which affects the values, the floor number of the condominium units. So all this information is included in the VM condominium class. Next class, I would like to show the valuation class, which is the main class of this model. This class includes the input and output data in the valuation processes. So you can see the value type. You can calculate the different value. You can use different value type. For example, one property have one market value and one use value and one tax value, and these all values can be different from each other. So you should check the what is meant by the market value, what is meant by the tax value. The date of valuation is very important because, as you can see in the previous lecture, we know the value can change over time. So the date of valuation is very important because when you use that values for when we use that value for valuation of other properties, we made some adjustments. So to make some adjustments, the date of valuation is very important because over time the property values can change, the conditions, market conditions can change. So data valuation should be recorded in the data valuation is included in the VM valuation class because of this. So you can see the assessed value as currency here. Assessed value, the estimated values recorded here. And for each valuation, there can be a valuation report. So you can give an ID to each valuation report and attach to this class. And purpose of valuation is really important. So in the first lecture, we saw that the purpose of valuation can be taxation, can be other purposes, land readjustment, compensation for expropriation, large scale accusation can be the other purpose. So there can be a many purpose, but the important thing for the information management aspects is that the purpose of valuation should be registered. And one can appeal to the value. So the appeal status also included in the valuation class. And the last characteristic, you can see the valuation approach. So different valuation approaches can be used to determine the value. So there are some different approaches, as we saw in the last hour of the lecture. The most common one is the cost approach, income approach, and sales comparison approach. And each approach has its own characteristics. So for the sales comparison approach, the comparable valuation units should be recorded. As you can see, comparable valuation units have more than one comparable valuation units in the sales comparison approach, and some adjustments we should calculate. This can be a time adjustments. This can be a locational adjustments for the properties in different locations. Physical characteristics are evaluated and adjustments made, and it is called physical adjustments. And when you collect all the adjustments, you can calculate the estimated value of the subject property with the sales comparison approach. When it comes to the cost approach, there are different cost types. In the example, in the first hour, we saw the reproduction cost, but there are some other type of calculating costs. For example, replacement cost is the other type of cost, which is used in the cost approach. So in this cost approach, we calculate the obsolescences, the physical obsolescence, functional obsolescence, external obsolescence to estimate the value. And all this information is recorded in the VM cost approach table in the LADM part 4. And the last approach, I would like to show you the income approach. In this approach, the gross and net incomes are important. This approach is generally used in the properties that have an income. For example, you can use this income approach if you have the rental values of properties, or if you have a parcel in rural areas, and if you plant that parcel with some vegetables, you can have some income of that rural area. So you can use the income approach when valuing this kind of rural parcels. So in this approach, the capitalization rates and discount rates are calculated, and income of the properties are calculated, and based on incomes, the valuers try to value properties. As I said before, there are many valuation methods, more than 3. There are many, but we include only these 3 approaches because they are the most used one. But you can extend this valuation approach class with more approaches and add more data type to represent the information produced in the different approaches. Next class, I would like to show you the mass appraisal. In mass appraisal, there's a good definition on the right-hand side below. The mass valuation is a process of valuing a group of properties of a given date. So date is really important also here, using standard methods. So you can use standard methods, standard analysis methods like multiple regression analysis, like artificial neural network, and employing common data and allowing for statistical testing. So the advantage, one of the advantage of the mass valuation, you can test your estimated value. You can check what is the accuracy of your estimation using different approaches. So all the information used and produced in the mass appraisal procedures are recorded in the VM mass appraisal class. For example, the mathematical model used in the mass appraisal can be calculated in the VM mass appraisal class. The analysis type used, this can be a multiple regression, artificial neural network, and other GeoAI approaches. Other machine learning algorithms can be used for the analysis. And for the performance indicator, we have one other class. I will show you in the next slide that. And based on the mass appraisal, a value is estimated for the property. So what performance approaches, how can you evaluate the performance of a mass appraisal? There are different methods, as you can see on the right-hand side, the measure of appraisal uniformity. There are different types of approach can be used. One of them is the coefficient of variation. One of them, the coefficient of dispersion. You can use the median absolute deviation. Standard deviation can also be used to calculate the uniformity of your mass appraisal. And it is also important when you evaluate the performance, your sample size. Maybe I can draw here. Yeah. Your sample size is really important. So if your sample size is larger, so you can achieve a more correct, more accurate estimation. Also, the appraisal level is important. If you have the more a good level of appraisal, then you can calculate the appraisal level with mean, median, and weighted mean approaches. So if your appraisal level is higher than the average, then you can say that the performance of mass appraisal is higher. And also the date of analysis also.
Abdullah, what do you mean with that? The accuracy or the expected accuracy as appraisal level?
Yeah, in appraisal level procedure, the mean, the median, and weighted mean are levels are used. If you use mean level, if your results are close to the mean level, then the appraisal levels is considered as optimal. And if you use the median level, if the results of your analysis should be somewhere near the median value, then it is considered as the mass valuation performance is considered well performed. There are also different appraisal levels here. We only include 3 of them: mean, median, and weighted mean. But there are, in this case, there are many appraisal levels can be used, and also for the appraisal uniformity, there are very different methods, especially after the machine learning algorithms. There are some more different uniformity levels, and appraisal levels are produced by different researchers to calculate both uniformity and the level. We just put here some example values from the international valuation standards.
But is it true that you can only, say, classify 1 year later when you have the actual sales and see, okay, how good the valuation was? Or not? You do it directly together with the sales, this value?
No, actually, some adjustments made before you putting all the information into the mass valuation. That is because the data of analysis is important here. And you also made some adjustments. You calculate what is the, for example, if you have a property valued in 2024, 1 January, you can adjust its value to 2025 1 January before putting them into the mass valuation mathematical model. So that your mass appraisal can perform better.
Yeah, thank you.
In the next slide, there are transaction prices. So transaction prices is the indispensable part of this model, because when you value a property, it is just an estimation. But when you record a transaction price, it is the market value. The buyer wants to sell, the seller wants to sell on that value. So the market value is really important information for the valuation activities. So they should be recorded in the valuation registries. And when valuing the properties, the most reliable source of information is the transaction prices. But when you record the transaction prices, it is really important you record the date of transaction. So you should make the necessary adjustments when valuing a new property. And it is really important to record the type of transaction. because type of transaction can be different, can be open market sale. If open market sale, you can use the type of transaction value in the valuation processes. But if it is a forced sale or a family sale, this type of transfer cannot be considered as open market sale, because if it's a family sale, the value can be much lower than the open market sale. In this case, you cannot use those transaction prices in. It is better if you cannot use those transaction prices in the valuation processes. So it is really important to record the type of transaction. And based on those transactions, some sale statistics can be calculated. These sale statistics can be calculated by the local governments, by the central governments. For example, I know that the Netherlands also calculates sale statistics every year. For example, the residential buildings, residential units every year, and house price index is calculated and published by with all people. So the LADM Part 4 also supports the recording of all the sale statistics based on transaction prices, based on the valuation units. The next class I would like to show you is the valuation source. Valuation source includes the source of valuation. So this can be a valuation report, this can be a declaration document, so on. This can be an aerial photo. This can be a photograph that shows the condition of property. And you can increase the sources. So all this kind of information are represented by the VM valuation source class. At the end, we have this part 4, LADM part 4. The green classes represent the LADM part 4, and the gray classes show the main LADM classes, the party, RRR, BA units, special units, and the relationship between the main classes of LADM and part 4 can be seen in this figure. And you can also download this UML diagram on the HMMG website of ISO. You can check the relationships between the classes. And if you have some question about the relationship, you can also mail me to ask what is the purpose of this relationship or something else. So this is how LADM valuation model is developed. After the development of part 4, many countries have used this information model to develop country profiles. So I would like to show you which countries developed the country profile for LADM part 4. The first country is the Netherlands. So as you may know, the Netherlands have a really good, really well established system of K registers. And one part of these registers is the valuation. So you can see the valuation register here. It is associated with the tax objects. So you can think that they are also the valuation objects in many cases. So the valuation register also includes the taxpayers in the Netherlands case. But in the context of LADM part 4, we consider this only this value part of this registration. So after the development of part 4, some researchers think that since the Netherlands have a very good structured system of K registers, we can develop a country profile for the Netherlands to check whether the LADM part 4 can express all the information in the valuation part of the system of K registers in the Netherlands. We can also say that the Netherlands also have a very good structure, very good, besides very good registries. The Netherlands also good at disseminating the property values. So since October 2026, the WOZ values of the residential properties are publicly available on the web in the Netherlands. So you can, if you have a residential property, you can check the values of your property each year by using the WOZ Weaver, which is developed by the WOZ VAR delegate. So please excuse my pronunciation. So a country profile is developed for the LADM Part 4 for the Netherlands to check whether the LADM Part 4 can express all the information in the value part of the system of care registers in the Netherlands. So this is an overview of the Netherlands country profile of the Part 4. The country profile is developed to represent the current state of property valuation in the Netherlands. So, as a conclusion, we saw that it is seen that the LADM valuation model fits very well to represent the valuation processes in the Netherlands, and it can be used by other countries, other parties to structure, to model their information system if they want to develop into information system to manage the valuation information. Second country profile I would like to show is the China. China developed this country profile based on Part 4 for managing the valuation and taxation for rural properties. So they only use to express, used to manage the valuation and taxation and the properties, some parcels, some parcel used for the vegetation, to growing vegetation purposes in rural areas. The other country profile I would like to show the Croatia. Croatia developed a country profile for Croatia has planning to develop a mass valuation system. So when you want to develop a mass valuation system, you should have a good registry, good database that includes all the information that is needed in the mass valuation processes. So Croatia developed a country profile to check how we can set up a mass valuation information management system so that we can started the calculating the properties in the Croatia using mass appraisal. So they first want to create a database to store all the data, and then started mass appraisal, because the mass appraisal has many advantages over the single property valuations. So the Croatia wants to use those approaches, those advantages. So they use Part 4 to create country profile, and that country profile they propose that this country profile can be used to set up a new valuation information management system. So the other country profile, I would like to show the Turkey country profile. This profile is developed for managing information on valuation conducted for annual taxation. So the main purpose of this profile represent the current state of the valuation conducted for the annual taxation. And this is also well expressed in the LADM Part 4. The next country profile, I would like to show the Cyprus country profile. Cyprus is developed this country profile to check whether their existing mass valuation system can be improved with LADM Part 4. And they found out some of their existing system mass valuation information system can be improved with some parts. I don't really remember which parts they are proposed. Their existing system can be developed, but you can check this paper, Demetriades et al. 2023, which was presented in the LADM workshop in 2023, and found out that which parts they found valuable to improve their existing mass evaluation system. The next profile I would like to show the Mongolia. The Mongolia also wants to set up a new mass evaluation system. So they, like Croatia, so they are create a country profile, and they propose that this country profile can be used to set up a new evaluation information management system in Mongolia. And Montenegro also developed a country profile. Their purpose is different than the others. They want, in Montenegro, there is a tourist tax and property tax. So if you're a tourist in Montenegro, you should pay a property tax. To manage this kind of information, they propose a country profile to support property taxation, tourist taxation in the Montenegro. So they propose this model to the local governments to manage all the tourist taxation information based on the developed country profile. The next country profile is the Serbia. As the other countries, Serbia also would like to move the mass evaluation system. Actually, they have a mass evaluation system currently, but it is not well running. So they checked the LADM part for how we can improve the existing mass evaluation system in the Serbia, and the researchers from Serbia propose such a country profile to improve their mass evaluation system. So that's all country profile developed so far using LADM part 4. And the last part of this lecture, I would like to mention about the 3D aspects in the property evaluation. So when we check the literature, we can see that there are two main categories that 3D aspects in evaluation can be divided. The first category is the supporting mathematical model, the evaluation model with 3D variables to improve the estimation accuracy of the evaluation processes. And the second category is the visualizing the evaluation unit in 3D and disseminated it with the public. So if we can start with the first category, the supporting mathematical models. There are many 3D GIS analysis have been used to support support the mathematical evaluation models. For example, 3D wave analysis can be done in recent years. 3D noise analysis can be done in recent years. Crime analysis, insolation analysis, also very important part of the evaluation in recent years. And also 3D distance analysis to the point of interest, and also the commuting time analysis can be very important data when calculating the property values. So this type of 3D analysis are increasingly used to support the mathematical models of the evaluation processes. So when we check the 3D analysis, if you have the 3D properties, you can calculate the wave shear polygons of the properties, and the wave shear polygons can show you which land use type you see from your residential units. For example, you can have a sea level sea wave, or you can have a road wave, or you can have a other type of waves. All type of waves can affect the value of this property. So including such information in a mathematical model, in mathematical evaluation model, can increase the estimation accuracy of your evaluation process. So all kind of this information is also recorded in the LADM part 4. For example, for representing how the view characteristics are calculated. LADM part 4 has a VM view characteristics class, how one can calculate the 3D view of a property. So LLM part 4 again have the noise characteristics class to record to identify the 3D noise analysis, and also have this distance characteristics. Distance characteristics also is recorded in can be recorded in LADM part 4 based databases. So you can extend this list with more characteristics. You can extend this list with more 3D analysis. Since the LADM UML model can provide us an extensible model, you can extend all this analysis with the new ones. And GEO AI is increasingly used in evaluation activities. So you can use different AI models in calculating the values of properties with mass appraisal. You can use different AI-based models, different GIS-based model. But GEO AI is also used one other purposes in evaluation processes. Again, this GEO AI can be used to extract some information from the images. For example, in this case, the Bin et al. Researched that how can the street view images be used for supporting the evaluation activities. So they have a database, but they don't have the number of floor. They don't have the construction material type. They don't have the building height. So this kind of information is really important for the evaluation processes. And they try to extract this information using the street view images. And based on those information, they calculate the property values more accurately, more precisely than before. So if you are interested in such a topic, you can check this Bin et al. How they use the street view images when calculating the property values. And one recent research by Ying et al., they also use the street view images to increase the accuracy of the evaluation processes. You can also check this paper. And the second part of 3D, 3D also can be used to visualize the valuation units in 3D and disseminate them with the public. And 3D visualization can increase the quality of your dissemination, can increase the people can understand more easily 3D visualization. So different type of visualization can be done for the evaluation information. So in this example, you can see the neighborhood level visualization. This visualization done for the tax values of building for 2020. If the buildings are yellow, their value is average. If the buildings are red, their value is higher than the other properties. And if you can see the gray circle here, the gray circle shows the highest condominium unit with the highest tax value, and the condominium unit with the highest tax value located in this building with the green circle. On the left-hand side, you can see the different levels. So you can disseminate the value on different levels. For example, in this example, we
Abdullah, we are running a little bit out of time. So
Okay.
yeah, please use the last few minutes to
Okay.
conclude.
So I will show the other examples then. For example, this shows the single unit visualization of a building. So you can see a value of residential units, and you can, if you aggregate all the condominium units, all the residential units, you can have the building, and you can disseminate the valuation information associated with the buildings. So average value of the building, you can represent them. So this is the value, the building level visualization. This is also a building level visualization. This prototype is developed for the Netherlands. You can check this prototype using this link below. In this prototype, there are 4 different levels is used. The single unit building floor, the level 3 building and level 4 street level implementation are done. You can see here that the street level implementation of this prototype. So when you click a building in that street, all the buildings on that street are selected, and you can see the relevant information here. For example, in that street, the value per square meter is calculated 275 euro. You can see the mean value of that street. But as I said, the 4 levels are only implemented in that prototype. There is an ongoing research conducted by Chuang Li. Chuang wants to implement the more levels. She wants to create a more advanced prototype with more levels and with animations, with more animations, using the data from the Rotterdam. So this prototype is developed in the Papendrecht, if I remember well. So Chuang tried to use the data from Rotterdam. So if you are interested in the developments in this research, you can also check the master thesis of Chuang. So thank you for your attention.
Sorry for rushing you a little bit
No
at the end.
problem.
Are there urgent questions? There are not new questions in the chat. So that means, as you also indications that it was all clear, no questions. So then, Abdullah, really, thanks a lot. And later today, the slides will be uploaded to Brightspace. One notice, they will be in week 7, which is a bit funny, but it has to do that, okay, Hendrik does week 1, 2, I do 3, 4, Hendrik 5, 6, and I do again 7, 8. And I asked Abdullah, so he will be in week 7, which is still not, which is still week 5 today, but also the reading material is there in week 7. If there are no more questions, then again, one more big thank you to Abdullah. And yeah, all have a good day and see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.